Look at the local dailies in depth. Alright, Vita baridi ndio habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. Ni kati ya nani na nani, sura zao zimewekwa pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele. Anasema sasa wandani wa Matiang'i watishia kujiondoa muungano wa upinzani iwapo Gachagua hata koma kuwadunisha. Siasa. Kioni, Munya na washirika wengine wa Uhuru Kenyatta wasema kuna kigogo wa kisiasa katika muungano wa upinzani ambaye amekuwa kiwaudharau mrengo wa Matiang'i. Kuna mmoja lakini hawataki kutaja jina. Kuna mmoja anasumbua sana lakini hataki kusema jina. Hata tujui ni nani. Acheni maneno yenu. Unajua juzi tuliona kwa gazeti Matiang'i alikuwa ameketi na nani? Na Munya na kaketi na Natembea. Hata akasema hapana, walikuwa wanaenda mazishi. Sasa watu wakipigwa picha wakienda mazishi ni shida. Sasa si ndio huyu Munya hapa? Kioni na Munya na washirika wengine wa Uhuru Kenyatta wasema kuna kigogo wa kisiasa katika muungano wa upinzani ambaye akiudharau mrengo wa Matiang'i. Gachagua amewahi kuwataka wanaomezea mate tiketi ya urais ya upinzani wadhihirishe ufuasi wao mashinani, mbali na kumwonya Matiang'i dhidi ya kutumia Jubilee kuwania kura katika uchaguzi mkuu wa 2027. Kuna ile kitu inaitwa micromanagement. Kuna mtu mmoja anataka kuambia hapana, kama unataka wewe fanya hivi, usifanye vile unataka wewe, fanya vile mimi nakuambia. Na ukikataa tutakosana. Mimi naleta shida sana. Wacha Waziri Kiro atakuja kutueleza. Unajua yeye anatetea, anasema hapana, hizi ni malumbano ya kisiasa, ni kama ndugu wanakosana hapa na pale kidogo, lakini hii hata kama ni vita baridi imezidi sana bwana.
Waende walete votes kutoka huko home.
Ameambiwa asilete za Jubilee, aende huko
Kisi.
Nyaribari Masaba na Nyaribari Chacha, lete za huko tuhesabu. Anyway. Kando na masuala ya siasa, vidokezo zaidi. Gachagua alia wafuasi kujeruhiwa. Ni watu wawili walijeruhiwa baada ya kuvamiwa Runyenjes wakati wa kampeni. Wale goons bado wanatumwa kuleta vurugu kwenye mikutano ya kisiasa. Kwingine migomo, wazazi walalama shule kuwatoza faini kali. Walalama kuwa shule zinawanyanyasa kwa faini zinazotozwa bila wao kushirikishwa. Ni kama shule moja, nafikiri ni Litain, ambao wazazi waliambiwa kila mmoja atoe 70,000. Ikiwa mtoto wako atarudi shuleni, utoe 70,000.
50,000.
No, it was 70,000. The entire school fees for the whole year is not even 70,000. But sasa pengine mtoto anaenda kumaliza shule, alafu naambiwa walichoma shule last week, sasa utoe 70,000 ndio aweze kuendelea. Kwa mzazi pia ni kazi. Habari nyingine hapa. Mtuhumiwa wa ushirikina, rais wa Ushelisheli. Hamini aendeleza wimbi la one term Afrika baada ya kutoa urais kwa kumshinda rais aliondoka. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 8. Nchi nyingine ya Afrika sasa imekuwa one term pia. Pale juu mihadarati, kampuni ya Kuria za mulikwa, yafichua baadhi ya kampuni hizo kusafirisha dawa za kulevya. Na masuala ya spoti, kombe la dunia ni lala salama, timu 9 zikibainika. Timu 4 tayari zimejulikana, nyingine 5 kufuzu kati ya leo na kesho. Gazeti la Taifa Leo.
All right, let's move on to Daily Nation. From hustlers to dynasties, Ruto changes tune and he swept to power on a campaign anchored on attacking prominent political families. He blamed for the suffering of a majority of Kenyans, but in the quest to craft a winning re-election strategy, President Ruto is courting the backing of the so-called dynasties. And he's quoted there. He once said, I have had conversations with Raila Odinga. I have engaged my brother Uhuru Kenyatta. I have engaged many, including Gideon Moi. Recently, I will continue to engage all the leaders so that we transform this country into a first world country in our lifetime, because it's possible. That goal is to be a world-class country by 2050. That is 30 years
from a third world country.
From a third world country to go first world.
Ameongea na Uhuru na ameongea na Raila na ameongea na Gideon Moi. Mbona wao wengine hasla waulizwi kama tunaweza kuwa first world country? Kwani sisi hatujui sisi mahasla?
Hasla unaweza.
Hatujui njia ya kuenda kwa first world.
Hii ni game ya Dynasties, and they're saying game plan president says he will woo more opposition figures. Bado safari.
Kuna dynasty mwingine ni kama atajoin serikali. Wamemtaja jina sana. Acha tungoje tuone.
Other quick headlines here. School riots, Spain, fury over hefty fees. And this is on page 8. They say parents complain that unruly students have become a cash cow for schools that are imposing exorbitant fines on all learners to finance reconstruction after destruction of property during riots. And they're also faulting the schools over the heavy financial burden imposed on them as the school managers capitalize on strikes to make a killing with additional demands for payment of all fee arrears prior to readmission of the students. This story is on page 8, and I'm sure they make mention of Litain boys as well. We'll take a look at it. Now, I mentioned something that Litain boys are to contribute 50,000. It's actually 50,000, not 70,000. They make mention of it in this newspaper. They say 49,699. That is the amount in Kenyan shillings that each student at Litain Boys High School is required to pay for damages caused during a recent riot. Family of Kenyan murdered by British soldier takes fight for justice to Britain. Another story there on page 2. Courier farms, now the new drug mules. That story is on page 7. On the back page of the Daily Nation this morning, it's a Kenyan affair at Nyayo, but bigger test await the two teams. Kenya Shujaa retain the men's crown as Kenya Lionesses regain the women's title after fine displays on home soil. Safari Sevens, good show by the home nation, bodes well for upcoming international and continental assignments. And Harambee Stars safe and sound in Abidjan, raring to tackle the Elephants in World Cup qualifiers. Mata Sports, Monday Blades watakuwa hapa kutuambia zaidi na zaidi. That's the Daily Nation this morning.
From the Daily Nation, we take a look at the Standard. Na siku hizi wamegeuza hata siasa ni kama waguzi, siku hizi ni kama walisonga mbele. Wanasema release them. For nearly 2 weeks, the families of activists Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo have endured a tormenting silence after their abduction in Uganda. With both Kenyan and Ugandan governments offering little clarity, fears are mounting that the two Free Kenya movement leaders are being held incommunicado by Ugandan security forces. Their disappearance has sparked outrage among civil society groups who see it as part of growing pattern of cross-border repression in East Africa. And it's the two activists who are in Uganda now, hatujui tuko wapi, so the Ugandan flag on the front page of the Standard. Standard, this is the only story they have on the front page. Na siku hizi sielewi ni kwa nini, lakini ni kama wamelegeza kamba ile ya kufinya kisiasa, ni kama wamewacha. Sielewi ni kwa nini na sisemi hata kama ninajua. Lakini ni kama wamewacha. Walikuwa wameleta, walikuwa wamekuja, walikuwa na kanyanga shingo. Sasa ni kama wameacha. Kule ndani Rigathi tu Uhuru amesema retire in peace and stay out of national politics. Unajua kitambo Rigathi Gachagua alikuwa anasema no, my brother Uhuru Kenyatta is our own son. No one should tell him anything, hata mtu asimjibu. Lakini juzi alimwambia usha retire, ondoka sasa. Ondoka. Gazeti la The Standard, kule nyuma ni masuala ya Safari Sevens kama what we've seen on the Daily Nation. And on the inside pages, and as far as sports is concerned, coming from an international break, a lot of the results from different national games. All right, that's a Standard.
People Daily, after Raila, will ODM rise or fall is a question they ask on page 5 of this newspaper. And they say surviving 2 decades as a dominant party in Kenya's volatile politics is a testament to the ex-Prime Minister's unifying force. That same strength, however, is also a weakness as the party's identity and his are so intertwined, it is almost impossible to imagine one without the other.
I saw a tweet, one of the noisiest people on X, the MP for Homa Bay Town, Peter Kaluma. Huwa anaongea mingi. Jana usiku amepost to Raila, please come back. Baba, please come back. You know, I think there's a lot of fear. If Raila even just exits the political scene, there are people who just fear that. They just try to imagine that thing and they can't comprehend. They cannot even believe their own existence, political existence without Raila Odinga. So that's the analysis that People Daily is trying to bring out, that after Raila, will ODM rise or fall? But will individual MPs even have any standing or grounding anywhere in Kenya. Yeah, without Raila Odinga.
And they're saying older generations did not nurture the younger generation now. Now that is the problem facing
The day
ODM.
of reckoning is coming. Peter Kaluma, the day of reckoning is coming. Kama hujajipanga kule mashinani, baba anaweza amua hapana, mimi nimeenda nyumbani na sifanyi siasa tena.
Awizi, usiogope. And they're saying talk of succession is growing louder with possible heirs, each presenting their strengths, but none has the former premier's national reach or his emotional bond with the masses. Wengine umeambiwa nyitu ni digital pale, lakini kwa ground hamna hiyo nguvu ya Raila. Ruto's silent power play, crushing the opposition or mastering the game, is another story or analysis on page 7. Legacy and leadership, people and politics, People Daily.
All right. Then the longest headline I've seen this morning is on the Star. This one you have to breathe in first before you read it. Foreign jobs liars, rogue recruitment agencies mint cash. The stories on pages 4 and 5 of this paper. For many young people, dream of job abroad ends in blood and silence. Now, the most unfortunate thing is government's involvement in this process. The government, the Labour CS came out and said, we are doing this. It is the government's policy. We're taking people to Canada. We're taking people to the Gulf. We're taking people here and elsewhere. But now, agencies that are doing this are just simply minting cash. Watu hawaendi mahali. You're being conned through agencies or through a program linked to the government. You see, now that's a pain. Whether it's through government inaction, actions of commission or omission, either way, the government should take the blame on this one. You're the one who brought this idea forth. So if at all people are taking advantage of it to con Kenyans, wewe ndio unafaa ujibu maswali. Maswali ya siasa, ignore planless opposition, says Ruto, revealing his talks with Uhuru, Raila, and of course, Gideon Moi. Yesterday I was at a church somewhere in Nairobi, and we see a photo there with members of the clergy and the Nairobi governor. Newfound happiness relief for families in Kwale after mining resettlement plan is another story given prominence on this paper. And finally, tough law coming to crack down on girl predators and sexual violence offenders. That's the Star. And as far as opinion, pale juu, Wycliffe Muga talks about the Gen Z indifference to democratic process. We'll be talking about this in a while with my panelists as well.
Finally, Business Daily. Kenya loans in yuan surge as dollar share cut by 850 billion shillings. And they say the portion of yuan loans in Kenya's external debt increased after the Treasury converted 3 standard gauge railway, that is the SGR facilities, from dollars to Chinese currency, reducing the dollar's weight in the portfolio by about that amount, that is 850 billion shillings. Now, according to Treasury data, that converting $3.5 billion in SGR facilities to Chinese yuan would cut the dollar share of external debt to 44%. That is about 2.37 trillion shillings. And it falls below 50% for the first time in 11 years. This story is on page 2. And the Treasury Cabinet Secretary has been featured inside this newspaper with that story there. UK's actors and Indian real estate giant exit Vita homes. That's another story on page 2 as well. On the Tika court blocks refund to tycoon in big trademark dispute. EABL to pay 11 billion shillings corporate bond early, and stockbroker nominees join Nairobi Securities Exchange to ease tensions. That's the Business Daily. Those are the local dailies this morning.
All right. Just a reminder that these are the individuals who will be in studio to help us discuss the big headlines. Waziri Kipruto Rapkirwa, governance expert Kathy Rungu, and political analyst Fwamba NC Fwamba. In a few minutes' time, do stand by for that conversation. Later on, being a Monday, we'll be having Monday Blitz, a discussion on the weekend sports. It's been an international break, and as far as football matters are concerned, Katela Macy, Fred Arocho, and Duncan Mutua will be in studio for that conversation. Tuangazie karakacha, wachoraji kwenye magazeti.